Imagine this: you're standing at the edge of yourself, staring into the vast unknown. Your heart pounds as you realize there's no one else around. No familiar faces, no comforting voices, just you, and perhaps something greater waiting in the silence. This isn't just loneliness, this is sacred ground. It's where the soul discovers its true dependence, not on fleeting comforts or external validation, but on the presence of the living God. Shi Heng Yi once said, "When a man has no one but God, he walks into a realm where earthly attachments lose their grip and eternity becomes real." These words aren't mere philosophy, they're a profound truth that countless individuals throughout history have experienced firsthand. From Abraham walking away from everything familiar to follow a voice he couldn't see, to Joseph enduring betrayal, imprisonment, and abandonment before rising to greatness, these stories remind us that solitude isn't punishment, it's preparation. Today, we dive deep into what happens when life strips you bare, leaving only your faith and resolve intact. We'll explore how solitude transforms weakness into strength, despair into hope, and emptiness into divine fullness. And most importantly, we'll uncover why trusting in God during these moments isn't just about survival, it's about becoming who you were always meant to be. So buckle up, because this journey will challenge everything you think you know about struggle, surrender, and ultimate triumph. The weight of isolation. Let's face it, solitude can feel like a curse. When the world fades away, when friends fall silent, and loved ones don't understand, it's easy to spiral into doubt. You might find yourself questioning whether God even hears your prayers anymore. After all, if He cared, wouldn't He intervene? Wouldn't He speak louder, act faster, or make His presence known in undeniable ways? But here's the thing, God doesn't operate on our timelines. In fact, some of the greatest transformations occur precisely because He allows us to sit in the stillness. Think about Moses, who spent 40 years tending sheep in the wilderness after fleeing Egypt. 40 years. Can you imagine the frustration, the impatience, the longing for purpose? Yet it was during those decades of obscurity that Moses learned humility, patience, and total reliance on God. By the time God called him to lead an entire nation out of slavery, Moses wasn't acting out of ego or ambition, he was ready to serve with unwavering obedience. Moses' story is more than just ancient history, it's a mirror reflecting many of our own struggles today. How often do we hustle, striving to prove ourselves worthy of attention or validation? We scroll through social media, comparing our behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reels. And when no one seems to notice our efforts, or worse, misunderstands them, it feels like rejection. But what if this season of invisibility isn't punishment? What if, like Moses, God is using this time to strip away distractions so we can focus on Him? Or consider David, the shepherd boy turned king. Before ascending the throne, David endured years of running from Saul, hiding in caves, and living as a fugitive. During this time, he wrote many of the Psalms, raw expressions of emotion, faith, and intimacy with God. Had David skipped straight to kingship without these formative years, would he have ruled with the wisdom and grace that marked his reign? Probably not. The wilderness wasn't wasted time, it was essential preparation. David's life teaches us something profound. Isolation isn't inherently bad. It's not a sign of failure, but an invitation to grow deeper roots. Imagine planting a tree in shallow soil versus rich, fertile ground. Sure, the tree might sprout quickly in either scenario, but only the one anchored in deep earth will withstand storms. Similarly, seasons of solitude allow us to dig deep spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. They force us to confront fears, insecurities, and doubts head-on, creating space for transformation. So if you're feeling overlooked today, if no one sees your pain or acknowledges your struggles, take heart. What feels like isolation may actually be God shaping you for something extraordinary. The very things that seem to weigh you down could become the foundation upon which He builds your future. But first, you must trust Him enough to stay in the process. Faith forged in fire. There's a reason faith is often described as a muscle. It grows stronger under pressure. When everything around you screams that you're alone, yet you choose to believe you're held, that's faith. When every fiber of your being tells you to give up, yet you hear the still small voice saying, "I'm not done with you yet," that's fire-tested belief. And let me tell you, there's nothing more unshakable than faith forged in contradiction. Take Elijah, for example. Here was a prophet who stood alone against kings and false prophets, boldly declaring God's truth despite overwhelming odds. Did he ever doubt? Absolutely. Remember his moment of vulnerability after defeating the prophets of Baal. Exhausted and afraid, Elijah fled into the wilderness, convinced he was the last faithful servant of God. But instead of abandoning him, God met Elijah in the quiet. In that stillness, Elijah discovered that he wasn't alone, and neither are you. Elijah's journey reminds us that faith isn't linear. Even the strongest believers experience moments of weakness. The key difference lies in how they respond. Instead of wallowing in self-pity, Elijah eventually returned to his mission, empowered by God's reassurance. His story challenges us to reframe our perspective. What if moments of despair aren't signs of defeat, but opportunities for divine intervention? Shi Heng Yi reminds us that faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about stepping forward in trust, even when the path ahead is unclear. Faith doesn't demand certainty, it thrives on hope. And hope, my friend, is the lifeline that keeps us moving forward when everything else seems to crumble. Consider this analogy. Faith is like Wi-Fi signal strength. Sometimes you're standing right next to the router, basking in full bars of clarity and connection. Other times you're wandering through walls and obstacles, barely clinging to 1 bar of reception. Yet, even in those weak signal zones, communication remains possible. Faith works the same way. Even in moments of spiritual static, God's presence persists. Our job is simply to keep tuning in, trusting that the connection will stabilize. God's silence, a divine pause. In moments of desperation, it's natural to cry out to God, expecting immediate answers. But what happens when the heavens remain silent? When days turn into weeks and weeks into months and still there's no response? It's tempting to assume that God has abandoned you, but nothing could be further from the truth. God's silence isn't neglect. It's a divine pause, a space where He allows you to grow, to trust, and to prepare for what's coming next. Throughout Scripture, we see examples of this. The Israelites waited centuries in Egypt, crying out for deliverance. Jesus himself experienced the silence of the Father in Gethsemane and on the cross. Yet in both cases, God's timing proved perfect. His silence wasn't absence, it was anticipation. When you find yourself in a season of silence, resist the urge to fill the void with noise. Instead, lean into the stillness. Let it refine you, shape you, and align your heart with God's purposes. Because when He finally speaks, it will be at just the right moment, and His plan will unfold in ways you could never have imagined. Think of silence as a sculptor's chisel. Each stroke removes excess material, revealing the masterpiece hidden within. Every unanswered prayer, every delayed promise, every prolonged trial serves a purpose. These moments carve away pride, selfishness, and fear, leaving behind a purer version of yourself, a vessel better suited for God's work. Here's a practical exercise. Next time you feel frustrated by God's silence, write down 3 things you're learning during this season. Maybe it's patience, gratitude, or dependence on Him. Over time, you'll notice patterns emerging, lessons that wouldn't have taken root without the quiet. Living beyond the wilderness. Ultimately, seasons of isolation and silence aren't meant to define us, they're designed to transform us. Just as winter prepares the earth for spring, these periods of dormancy set the stage for new growth. Whether you're navigating loneliness, waiting for breakthroughs, or grappling with unanswered questions, remember this: God hasn't forgotten you. He's preparing you. So, embrace the wilderness, trust the process, and above all, hold fast to the truth that God's plans are always good, even when they don't look like we expect. As Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Grace, the unseen strength. At some point, we all reach the end of ourselves. Exhausted, broken, and stripped of our own strength, we collapse under the weight of our burdens. And it's in these moments of complete surrender that we encounter God's grace, not as a fragile consolation, but as an unstoppable force that lifts us up, carries us forward, and restores our hope. Grace isn't just a theological concept, it's the unseen hand that steadies us when we're about to fall. It's the quiet voice whispering, "You've got this," even when everything inside screams otherwise. Grace doesn't wait for us to clean ourselves up or fix our messes before stepping in. No, grace meets us right where we are, flaws, failures, and all, and says, "Let me carry you through." Paul understood this better than most. Despite facing persecution, imprisonment, and relentless hardship, he declared, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Paul didn't view his struggles as setbacks. He saw them as opportunities for God's strength to shine through. And so can you. When you come to the end of your own ability, remember this: God's grace is infinite. It's sufficient for every trial, every challenge, and every heartache. Think about it. What if your greatest weakness isn't a liability but a doorway? A doorway into experiencing God's power in ways you never imagined. Paul embraced his thorn in the flesh, not because he enjoyed suffering, but because it kept him humble and dependent on God. His story invites us to do the same, to stop resisting our limitations and start leaning into them. After all, it's often in our weakest moments that God shows up strongest. But let's be honest, grace can feel elusive. In the heat of pain or frustration, it's easy to overlook its presence. That's why cultivating awareness is crucial. Start paying attention to the small signs of grace around you. Maybe it's a kind word from a stranger, an unexpected financial provision, or simply waking up to another day. These aren't coincidences, they're glimpses of God's goodness at work. Here's a practical way to embrace grace daily. Each morning, take 5 minutes to reflect on one area of your life where you need divine intervention. Then, intentionally surrender control over that situation to God. Say something like, "God, I don't have what it takes to handle this alone. I trust you to move in your time and your way." This simple act of faith opens the door for grace to flow freely into your circumstances. Living in the overflow of grace. When we truly grasp the magnitude of God's grace, it changes everything. We no longer strive out of obligation or fear. Instead, we serve from a place of overflow. Grace empowers us to love others without keeping score, forgive those who hurt us, and extend compassion to people who may not deserve it. Why? Because we've been recipients of undeserved favor ourselves. Consider how different the world would look if everyone operated from this posture of grace. Imagine workplaces filled with encouragement rather than criticism, families rooted in understanding rather than judgment, and communities bound together by kindness rather than division. This vision starts with each of us choosing to live generously, extending the same grace we've received to those around us. Grace also teaches us patience, not just with others, but with ourselves. Too often, we beat ourselves up for mistakes, setbacks, or perceived shortcomings. But grace reminds us that growth is a process. It's okay to stumble along the way. What matters most is that we keep moving forward, trusting that God is shaping us into the person He created us to be. One powerful example of grace in action comes from Corrie ten Boom, a Holocaust survivor who forgave the Nazi guard.